Hello, everybody. It's a live China music podcast.
And it's episode 9.
Episode 9. Wow. Holy macaroni. We've been doing this for 9 episodes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nearly half a year. We're getting close to June, so I think we're going to have to do some mid-year reviews or something at some point.
Well, I'll say this. It's been a very fruitful half year thus far. Very impressed what's coming out.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about for sure. And today we're going to cover a little bit more punk. We did some punk last episode. We're going to do a little bit more today. Some shoegaze and an artist which has been major influence for me. When I first came to China, I discovered Xiao He, and he's got this amazing album that came out, I don't know, I'm going to say 2005 or 6. Maybe it was even a bit earlier. I have to double check. Anyways, it was a big influence on me, and he's been keeping at it. He's got a new album out, and we're going to talk about one of the tracks today. So, we'll be starting with...
We have a couple artists from the city of Wuhan. While Wuhan is mostly known for its punk scene, they've been steadily actually really been branching out in recent years. And I wanted to start today with a track from a Wordless Orange. And this is a kind of, neo-psychedelic, I guess, act, you could say. And... yeah, what's our first track today?
So the first track is Tiandong Ge, Tiandong Pavilion from, I guess, Wordless Orange is, what?
I mean, doesn't it say the English translation right there?
Guru Orange?
Wuchang Library?
Oh, right. But the thing is, like in Chinese, it's completely different. So maybe they made a decision there. Yeah, the English name is that they've published is Wuchang Library. In Chinese, it's written Tiandong Ge, which means Tiandong Pavilion. By the way, what is the English name of the band? Like, if you look them up on.
I mean, I think I made this mistake. I think I went with Silent Orange for a bit, and then I saw it being referenced as a Wordless Orange, and then I think I've seen Silent Orange again, so I'm not sure if they have a strict translation for it, but yeah.
Yeah, because in Chinese it's Chen Mo Ju, which literally is Silent Orange, so I think your first instinct was correct, but Wordless is can be okay, so I'm not sure what the band prefers. Anyways, let's listen to the track. Yeah, got a little cowbell action in there.
Gotta love it. So yeah, these guys, they've been around for a bit. I think when they first started, they had a more conventional kind of indie sound. And then I think recently, in the past couple of years, they've been shifting towards this more funky kind of Asian beat style, this kind of psychedelic groove that it's really just, it's done so well here.
Yeah, and you're mentioning this Asian beat. Do you think that would fall in with Run Run Run, which we also had a track?
Yeah, I think a lot of these bands are kind of in the same soup one way or another, like Sleeping Dogs, Run Run Run. They kind of, take these, I guess, these Asian aesthetics, I guess one would say, and they kind of inject them into this kind of funky, jazzy, neo-psychedelic kind of sound. These kind of bands are all over, the world that lean into this hard. And so it's great to see Chinese bands kind of, reclaiming this as their own.
Yeah. Do you have examples of bands doing similar things in the area, outside of China?
Well, like there's that I want to say, oh my god, I'm gonna mess it up. Swiss band. Oh shit, they just came in. What were they called? Oh, Yin Yin, was that them?
Yeah. Yin Yin, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's I guess there's bands like Yin Yin. There's like a Surprise Chef, who I saw a few months ago from Australia, and there's a lot of these guys, kind of, I would almost consider them like kind of very like geeky psychedelic funk music. Their command of rhythm is just really at the forefront of these kind of bands, and just how much of a great flow it has to it. Sorry, you wanted to add and
something?
I also just want to give like a shout out to like the production on this, particularly on this track. And I know the production is done by like a well-known musician, Eric, who's the leader of the band Default. And so like I've been noticing his touch on a lot of these records recently, and like it's magic here.
Yeah, this track was released on the EP Guru Orange, which came out on May 27th. And let's move on to the next track for today, which is...
I want to go to, hands down, one of my favorite bands in China, particularly one of my favorite live bands in China. And these are the Xinjiang punk mainstays, Pumpkins.
I mean, okay. Let's put the track on. It is called Xiao Nanguo, A Little Bit Sad, by Pumpkins. This was Xiananguo out of the album Xinjiang Boys, released on May 7th.
So these guys have kind of been kind of the torch that's been kind of holding this city up and making this city a home for lots of rock bands over the past decade. And while the band, very much have stuck to their punk roots throughout, their time, recently they've been kind of expanding their sound. They're more confident now and kind of spreading it out, whether it be like some kind of more a psychedelic, a little woozy psychedelic sound, or hear a bit more of a garage rock Strokes-esque kind of thing going on. But the lyrics of this, please take it away.
The lyrics are pretty amazing. 我是你的麦当劳，你是我的711。I'm your McDonald's, you're my 7-Eleven. Because Xinjiang 开不出 7-Eleven. But in Xinjiang, we can't have a 7-Eleven.
Oh, so many layers.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's also, first of all, it's like a commentary on how these kind of, I don't know, Xinjiang is third tier? Are they even third tier at this rate?
Yeah, it's a small place for on the Chinese.
It might be fourth. It might be fourth. Where these, cities that are kind of forgotten and, just are not developing at the same rate as other cities around it. And so you kind of you can't even get a 7-Eleven. But McDonald's will always be there if you need it. I'm there. I'm your McDonald's.
Yeah, do you have something to say about the album itself in general?
I want to say this is their third full-length LP. This LP is them kind of throwing everything they've worked up to into their release. And it's I think they're on their own again. They're not on their label anymore. They're throwing in all their influences, everything that they've kind of been evoking and falling prey to or whatever. I think it's really their best album, the most effective, and it's just kind of, to me, just an ode to rock and roll in general. There aren't too many bands in China that can retain that true rock and roll cred, but Pumpkins, they will always have it.
Nice. And for the next track, we're gonna move on to something a little bit more rough, a little bit more raw, right?
Oh yeah. Just there's a new generation of kids out there who have figured it out and are kind of they're using their historical knowledge of just punk music and kind of exploring untapped genres. In this case, egg punk, which I had no idea about before this release came out. So, who do we have?
We have Meng Zhu Meng, Waste of Time. Meng Zhu Meng. It's a really infectious vibe, so high energy. I remember first hearing about them in your group on WeChat. I think the artist shared it, and he was like, "Oh, egg punk something." I was like, "What the hell is egg punk?"
Yeah, it's really weird. I think a friend of mine had like shared it with me before he had shared that, because he was like on some kind of egg punk Reddit, as people do, of course. And it dropped in there. And so, yeah, obviously I had to go down this rabbit hole. And so I guess egg punk is what is described as kind of, raw, dirty punk rock crossed with kind of a snappy new wave Devo-esque rhythms, I guess. So you get lots of lo-fi, like keyboard synths, ramshackle, like samples thrown in there, and then like guitars that are just really pitched up and really, really propulsive kind of. I love a song that can just get in and out like that.
And they always like, I think in this first demo, like all of the tracks have this intro with sampling some film or something. I was trying to figure out, it sounded like some kind of mafia film or something, where the protagonist is saying like, "Let me go," and then he gets like, I don't know, tortured or something, or beat up.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is a one-man project, I learned, based out of Beijing. Supposedly, they will form a band once the creator moves to Chengdu later this year. Because, yeah, this is something I would love to see live. Yeah, that would be great to see this kind of music live. And, I remember I shared this with a friend of mine, Chachi from Round Eye, who is usually my go-to historian for like punk music. And like he was just like, he's like, "Oh my God, this sounds like, exactly like the kind of music that was coming out of like Orlando, Florida, like 15 years ago. Like Jay Retard and all that kind of stuff."
Wow. Well, yeah, I'm always excited for something new that I didn't know about, and that's very cool. And knowing they're moving to Chengdu, well, that's good. They're going to be closer to me, so.
Yeah. And so, yeah, check out their Bandcamp. They have 3 demos up there now, and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down. So,
yeah, it's 3 demo albums, so there's a bunch of tracks.
3 EPs, essentially. I don't even think it's not even kind to call these demos. Like, come on, just release them as they are. They're great. I love it. I love it dirty. I love it I love scrappy kind of releases like this.
Mm-hmm. And for the next track, we're going to move to something less scrappy, but moving back to the city of Wuhan with Silly Function.
And so, yeah, Silly Function, I guess we would call them like a noise rock emo indie band. They've been around for a good while now, nearly 10 years.
Don't give it all away.
Okay.
Don't get ahead of yourself. We're just going to play the track first.
All right. That's true. True. Silly Function, name of the track?
Made of Glass, 玻璃做的。 So this was Silly Function. You'll have to tell me more about this because this band was definitely not on my radar. And you told me something's happening here.
They kind of grew out of the, I guess, emo craze that started in Wuhan with Chinese football, but they really came into their own. And I think they got really big off of a track called Stanley Should Be Happy, which kind of became like a, I guess, what would you call it? Like anti, fuck work kind of anthem for lots of young people. Mm-hmm. But since then, they've been doing their thing. And I mean, I just love these kind of cathartic, harmonies they got within their track. And on this new album, particularly, they've kind of, they've gotten a little noisier. They're leaning a bit into more shoegaze, or as I think they reference in their liner notes, emo gaze. And so I love how this track just has those walls of sound and that kind of just that reverb that's really just cranked up with those guitars there. Just these swelling guitars. And I love a good hook, and this one has a damn good hook.
So yeah, and the lyrics really get across this emo vibe you were talking about. I think this is kind of lyrics that will speak to a generation of very introverted kids who might be struggling with connecting with people in real life. They mention your gaze is too much. My heart is made of glass. I'm entirely made of glass, and I'm ready to break. This kind of energy comes through from the lyrics.
Exactly. Nothing it's not, it's not too wordy, but it's effective. There's something very direct about their music that kind of, goes directly for the gut punch, and it works in this situation. Very much looking forward to, actually I'll be seeing them tomorrow. So very much looking forward to that. The band is in the midst of a nationwide tour, and so it will be good to check them out again. That was Silly Function. And where are we going to next, Ellie?
We got Zhanpan with Wang Chuanhu out of a 7-inch that was released on April 22nd. And let's hear it now.
你还会出现吗？回忆会继续吗？在无法停留的过去，你是否还会去找寻自己？在无数个平行世界中循环跳跃。 终究无法靠近，那些梦早已经破碎。穿过指尖的风，将浮名轻易吹起，我们只能忘掉所有本末倒置的沸腾。 残局，忘掉所有别离之后，才能找到勇气。忘掉所有散落满地的只言和片语。
All right, so this was Zhanpan, who's an independent musician.
Yeah, a little history, because Zhanpan was kind of a part of some of the most formative bands of the early 2000s, kind of shaping the kind of indie scene as we know it today. He was in the band Nunja. Am I saying that correctly?
Nuja,
which started in 2005 and didn't last long, but made a very big impact. And then a band that more people might be familiar with, The Gar, who started in 2007, and I'm not even sure how long they lasted. but they made a big impact as well. And so, yeah, he's been independent since then, though I think he's also in another band at the moment. Some super group called Aeroboat with a bunch of other Beijing, musicians of yesteryear. But yeah, I remember like back in 2015, he released an album called A Great Blues, which I kind of like fell in love with. It was one of my favorite things that year. And then he just went quiet. And so it was much to my surprise when like a couple weeks ago, I saw this 2-track album pop up. And I love it. Very upbeat, very indie pop. It just kind of hits that sweet spot for me. It could be very conventional, but it seems like it knows what it's doing. It's having fun within the framework of it with its synths, and I just love how effortlessly it all feels.
It's indie pop that's done well. It just goes down really well, and very nice release there.
Well, do you know what holiday is tomorrow, Ellie?
It's actually today. It's 端午节.
It's not today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're celebrating today.
It's June 1st.
Is it?
Oh, I meant the other holiday, Ellie. This guy's like never worked in a school or never had any kids, I guess. Doesn't know what June 1st is here in China. Children's Day. And so I thought we would close out our episode today with a new release from one of our most influential folk artists. And who would that be?
小何.
So you're a big Xiao He fan.
Oh, yeah.
You have some history with him.
Mm-hmm. So this artist was one of my first discoveries of Chinese music when I got in China, in Beijing in 2006. Very early on, I went to some record store and bought a bunch of CDs without knowing anything about anything. And I just asked the guy to recommend some albums. And he sold me an album by PK14, one by Sound Fragment, the very important album by Xie Tianxiao and Cold-Blooded Animal, and Xiao He's album. And these albums I listened to on repeat for well over a year. And Xiao He was one of those that was most influential to me in discovering the Chinese folk scene.
And yeah, I mean, and even to say folk is kind of like not getting to the center of what kind of makes this guy such an amazing artist. There's very much an avant-garde streak within his work, usually. Very explorative, very kind of just goes off on tangents, very improvisational, and just kind of just surreal, goofy, just it can go in any direction and you really have no idea. So when I heard about this project that he's involved with now, I was kind of, taken aback, but also like, why not? Like, this guy can do anything.
Absolutely. He's a master of experimenting in very unique ways. And so let's put the track on first, and then we'll talk some more about it. This is Lugo Qiao. So Lugo Bridge by Xiao He and the Nursery Rhyme Project. So this track is from the album released on May 1st called 十分急, wind making compilation, and it has it's 2 eggs for a nursery rhyme.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
It means 2 eggs for a nursery rhyme, which means that he probably asked for people to share some nursery rhymes and would offer 2 eggs in exchange.
Nice. And yeah, I do like the album cover. It has like the makeshift children's like kind of fan on it that we often see. And this release came out of like a project he's been working on for I want to say like around almost 6 or 7 years now, where he traveled around the country to kind of, off the road places, and gathered nursery rhymes, kind of collecting and preserving these nursery rhymes that, would otherwise maybe disappear in a country that is developing so quickly. A lot of these kind of cultures kind of just get assimilated. And so it's important to preserve these. And so after collecting, he gathered a bunch of, I guess you would say, just like a murderer's row of like maverick performers and musicians across the board of all ilk to recreate and these 15 classic nursery rhymes, including this one. And as you hear, he also involved lots of children's choirs from around the country as well. And yeah, it's a pretty wondrous compilation.
And what I think is important to note as well is that he's not only documenting these old nursery rhymes, he's recording them in a modern and tasteful way, and he's also performing. So people, it's a full project about going and finding them, re-recording them, and performing live to audiences in the big cities as well. Like they're performing all over China, and I think they're performing tomorrow in Shanghai as well, right?
Yes, actually, I'll be attending that show as well with my child and my family. So that's going to be pretty exciting, actually.
So it's wonderful to see him do this like really meaningful project, and because he's doing a lot of different things at the same time as well. He's got this other much more experimental thing. Was it the T? Was it called the band with the T thing?
T Rockers?
I'm not sure what the Chinese name is. The English name is. It's yeah.
I mean, I know he had the T Rockers Quintet or something at some point.
Yeah.
But I mean, even next week he's going on tour with the Glorious Pharmacy, which was kind of like a, like a big deal back in the day. Like his kind of, I guess you would say, his rock outfit, if you could call it that at all. So he's coming back with that.
Yeah, they actually performed in Kunming not so long ago. They came by for a folk festival, and I think they did a bit of recording as well on the side.
Nice. So yeah, great to see it, and a great kind of present for Children's Day.
Lovely. So wishing amazing Children's Day to all. I think that does it for us today.
Yeah. Once again, thank you everyone for popping in, checking in, and please do look at the links to any of the acts you enjoyed hearing today. Follow them. Buy a CD, buy an album, support the scene, and we'll be back soon enough with more new tunes out of China for you to indulge in.